to the Audit and Finance Committee agenda. We're gonna start out today with John Mela talking about insurance.
Okay.
A lively topic.
Yeah, very good. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Okay, our fire insurance, property insurance is with the affiliated factory mutual insurance companies again. Policy was effective September 9th of this year. And we did not have the numbers or the commitment in time for the prior board meeting. Our cost this year is $261,700 approximately, compared to last year's of $232,813. The primary reason for the increase is the increase in our limits of coverage. We're now at about 156 million compared to 145 million last year. And that cost is driven by the increased costs of construction, replacement cost of our buildings and contents. We do have flood insurance, and this has become a problem for us in a couple of areas, but the contract does include it. And with $100,000 deductible, where everything else is at a $25,000 deductible. And for Oswego and Leland, we have a $2 million maximum for flood. And for our location where we are now sitting, $1 million maximum for flood.
I know earthquake insurance?
Yeah, that's built in there too.
Really?
Yeah.
Have we ever had it?
Not that I know of. We've never had a flood either.
Flood I can understand.
Yeah, but no, we never had. This, just to give you a little history, the affiliated factory mutuals is an insurance carrier that will only provide coverage for highly protected risks. And they do it at a cost that is significantly less, good morning, than any other carrier. When we finally qualified to get into this program many years ago, I can only tell you that over the period of time that we've been there, we've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. The premiums are a couple $100,000 a year, less than if we were with a Travelers or a Hartford or a Chubb. And we did switch when Chubb increased their costs 11, 12 years ago to $400,000. Our price now is approximately the same as where we were centuries ago. So we have eliminated all of that, but they have strict standards. We do qualify most of the time for their strict standards. And their filing with the insurance department does include flood and quake. So that's where it comes from. Our vehicles are insured only while in the garages. We're self-insured every other exposure. And we have replacement cost coverage with the exception of our vehicles, which are on an actual cash value basis. So we did very well. We're a little after the fact, but we had no choice. So we were insured as of September 9th.
One question I got, since we are such close to the creek over there, do we ever had any problem with that?
Well, we've never had a flood in my history. I've only been got it. We never had it. However, FEMA decided 4 or 5 years ago to put us in the floodplain. Yeah. And that's affected this whole area. And unfortunately for residents here, it's almost unaffordable. Once they did that, it was the end of the life.
Is our only option year to year? We won't do a longer term and lock in?
For the coverage?
Yes.
No, 1 year at a time.
Does anybody have a claim that can DPW.
You know, we've been fortunate, we had at the hub,
Yeah.
we had a bus burn up, we made a few bucks, that was nice.
Did he say that was nice?
But it's.
We take that out of the recording.
Minutes purposes, just kidding.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, we get it 1 year at a time. The days of the 3-year contracts are all gone.
And we
Okay.
used to get those.
Hmm?
We used to do.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Okay.
Any
No questions?
questions for John? You know, the value goes up, and that's something that drives the bottom line, so it's kind of basic. I just don't want to ever, the area that I see is probably the biggest increases that are gaining ground is in the, cybersecurity.
Yeah.
That's brutal,
That's
it's brutal right now, they got you, and they got you good, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's true. And the liability is gonna be brutal as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're prepared for that.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, John. Motion to bring us to the full board. Tony, second, Tina, all in favor, aye. All right, folks, we're gonna jump, right into Linda with the financial statement.
Good morning, everyone. After 5 months ending August 31st, we have a $4 million gain, another increase from the prior months. Revenue trends are the same, still about 5% under in revenues compared to budget, and 4% under prior year. And non-operating revenues, netting between the federal assistance and our MRT. MRT is still doing very well. We had our first $1 million month this fiscal year. For expense trends, again, they're trending the same. The salaries and wages are increasing under budget. You're gonna see that trend due to the open positions we have right now with drivers and mechanics. Healthcare benefits and workers' comp still trending under budget. For the same reasons I've been saying for the past few months. Hopefully, I know the healthcare benefits will increase going forward. However, not maybe at the levels that we were in the prior months due to higher stop loss claims in prior years. Materials and supplies and services still trending under budget, but they should be trending closer to budget as the fiscal year develops. And that's about it for the financial statements. Is there any questions on the revenues and expenses? You do have your other supplementary information in there. As you can see, the MRT statement, 1.2 million for the month. Oneida had a very good month. And you have your statement of reserves. I did invest one of the reserves into our purchase some T-bills for that reserve this month. So FYI. Statement of cash flows, we received our STOA in the month of August, so that was good. And that's it for the supplementary information, unless there's any questions.
Question, pretty healthy financials. Maybe, motion, bring that to the full board. Julius, second. Lee, all in favor? Aye. Okay, Chris is gonna educate us on the minivan and lift for quick services, and that's resolution 4B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. This resolution is for the minivan and electric vehicle services A. The contract will be paid for using operating funds. The invitation for bid was publicly let on June 10th. 22 bid packages were sent out, 8 of which were sent to minority and women-owned business enterprises. 4 additional bid packages were requested. On July 6th, 3 bids were received, with the lowest responsible bidder being Suburban Transportation. There is currently a full waiver for MWBE participation pending with New York State Empire Development. Therefore, it is our recommendation that the board award the contract for minivan and electric vehicle services A to Suburban Transportation.
The three bids that you received back, none of them were WDEs.
No, they were not.
The minivan, we have a similar to one there now.
I'm sorry, what
It's
was
a
that?
minivan. It's similar.
In terms of the actual, cost of the minivan?
We don't own any minivans, we only do the call bus,
Okay.
but when we contract out to these companies, they either use sedans or, handicap accessible minivans.
We're gonna use the minivans, that part of the on-demand service. We're gonna roll out in the spring.
We probably won't contract with them for that. It would either be, completely contracting it out with a company that provides that service, or, we would purchase, if we have the manpower, we would purchase our own, like, Sprinter vans. It's a little bit bigger than a minivan, a little easier to get in and out of.
Is this for only Onondaga County or is this for all counties? Suburban.
Onondaga.
Excuse me,
How long is the contract for?
this is 5 years.
Yeah.
Any questions regarding this bid? It's not a motion to award contract, to Suburban Transportation for 5 years. Okay, Tony, second, left, all in favor? Okay, good. Also, Kristen talks about the waste oil boiler for the purchase. And it's, 4C.
Thank you. This next resolution is for the waste oil boiler replacement. This is a one-time purchase that will be paid for using 100% state grant funds. The current waste oil boiler that we have was installed over 20 years ago and is now considered obsolete and in need of replacement. Pricing was received from M4 Services Bethlehem, which is our current contract holder for HVAC repairs, installations, and maintenance. Pricing was received in the amount of $71,890. Therefore, it is our recommendation that the board grant the retro award backdated to August 19th due to the replacement oil boiler being needed prior to the winter season upcoming.
I think you can place whether we want to or not.
Any, questions on, the waste oil boiler replacement? If not, I need a, motion to award contract to M4 Services. Okay, Tina, second. Darlene, all in favor? Moving on to 4D, resolution to authorize contract award for FOG automation service agreement. And, okay,
This next resolution is for the FG Automation Services Agreement. This one-year agreement will be paid for using operating funds. The CNY RTA entered into an agreement with Siemens over 35 years ago to provide software which provides an alarm monitoring system as well as controls for our HVAC system. Pricing was received in the amount of $50,950 for the one-year agreement. The software is proprietary to Siemens, making this a sole source procurement. Therefore, it is our recommendation that the board grant a retro award backdated to September 1st due to the vendor being unable to provide a quote until late August, despite our efforts trying to reach out and get that in July.
The system working well?
okay, motion for, payment to Siemens in accordance with the Apogee Automation Service for a 1-year term. Tony, second. Robert, all in favor? Moving to resolution 4D, light pole repairs, Caitlin. How's Caitlin today?
Caitlin is doing well, how are you?
You haven't been up at the table in a while, so I'm gonna,
know,
you saved a lot of questions the last few months for you.
This chair is on the ground.
It's the other side.
Oh,
Other side.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right side.
Okay, I'm gonna sit on the ground.
Right side. Everybody's telling her, but nobody's helping her.
Thank you. I've got it, all right.
All right,
Sorry about
resolution
that.
4E on the light pole repairs.
Yes, light pole repairs, this will be paid for with 100% state dedicated funds. So the existing light poles over in our driver's parking lot here at the Syracuse facility are in need of repair. The underground conduit is corroding, letting in moisture, and the concrete bases are kind of crumbling due to exposure to ice melt on an annual basis. So we're looking to make a purchase through our existing electrical services contract through Patricia Electric. The total cost is $61,296.
Guess we're gonna be keeping all the electrical underground, so we're gonna fix it, so we have these ugly wires go across.
The amount was how much?
$61,296.
So I need a motion for Patricia Electric to award contract for $61,000 on. Tina, second, well, all in favor, aye. Okay, EJ. Transit asset management plan.
Good morning.
We're good. Time flies when you're having fun. This, the board approved the transit asset management plan 4 years ago. Under the law, it needs to be updated every 4 years. I believe the updated plan was sent in the package. The only major update to the plan was we switched from the AS400 maintenance software system to the Maintenance Connect system by Accruent, which we just implemented. And we are asking the board to approve the plan, and we'll be coming back in an additional 4 years to have them approve it again.
Yeah, this is one of these ongoing things here. It was done pretty well. Okay, it was done good, I actually, mind reading it. Any questions for EJ? If not, I need a motion to approve the plan. Okay, Julia, second, Darlene, all in favor? Aye. Going to resolution 4G.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, see you in 4 years.
If I'm here.
All right. Sarah, you can talk to us about, Utica Garage facility lease, Sarah.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. We are looking for an approval to enter into a lease with Oneida County for the Leland Ave Garage in Utica. It's gonna be a 3-year lease, $1,500 a month.
Give you a little background on that. We were leasing that for $1 a year for a number of years. The county really wanted us to purchase the property. The property is in a heavy flood area. We've spent a lot of money over the years. It's in a flood area, it will always be in a flood area, and it will always get flooded. So
John's smiling over there.
we have to relocate our staff down there, sometimes temporarily. Can't get there, probably if you had a little canoe or boat, probably be able to do it. Talked about this for years, we need a solid plan for a garage and administrative, facility to service both Utica, Rome, and the surrounding suburbs that we service. That's something I know that, Brian and Chris and team, we've talked about. And I know they're gonna start some type of, working group to figure this out. So, met with the, county executive, and we went over where they would really like us to buy this or take this building. We don't believe it's in the best interest for us in the long run or short run. So, I think this is a fair lease for, it's a fairly decent sized facility, and I think it's fair. And, I want to thank Brad, you drafted this?
Yes, and we're still working on finalizing the language with the county attorney's office.
The numbers are set, it's literally just small language changes
Yeah,
where we
correct.
total commits upon that.
And we've put over the years millions of dollars into the facility. We've had some, back, maybe around 17 years ago, we had some, state appropriation to bring some of the things up to, par there. But, it's not our long range plan, so, I'm glad we're getting this behind us a little bit, cause I know they wanna get this behind us.
So is this the same facility or different facility?
Same facility.
Existing facility, yeah. So when we took over the, Utica Rome operation, yeah, we inherited that building, kind of. We haven't been paying for it, but we've put money into it. I mean, if you could have seen what the other operating was. It needed a lot of work, so we got a lot of state money to do that. But over the years, we put money in, and the most recent flood, I mean, we literally had to gut the place. Rip out all the flooring, all the sheet rock. You know, we spent, I think our deductible on was $500,000.
Was it total like almost $700,000?
That we put into it,
It's fairly close to the canal.
which is why we don't want it. You know, so this is a short-term fix while we're out there searching for a site to build a new
And
facility.
it takes the onus off of us.
No,
No.
no, we still,
We still have to deal with this.
this is
as
triple,
we
this is
occupy.
triple net, I mean, yeah. This is just, the only change is we used to get it for $1. No, we're not.
Okay, cause I'm trying to put this together like.
Yeah,
I heard that, yeah.
Okay.
We had it for $1 because the county expected that we would eventually buy
Right.
it, which we're now.
Okay.
So that's the reason for the
Yeah.
change.
It's kind
So,
of-
so they're mad at us.
Kinda, no,
No,
they're not mad, but it's just a matter of,
They
if
would've
we're
liked
not
to
gonna
see
buy
us-
it, we want a little bit of money.
They would like to see us, occupy the facility, and, like I said, we have the history as a tenant there. And it's something that's not a good history with the water. It's located near the canal and the river right there. So as things, flood, we're probably one of the first facilities that are gonna get it.
So we're looking for something
Yeah.
more between Rome and Utica so we can consolidate.
Have you had a lot of complaints from the community about the building?
No, the complaints are from probably us.
Yeah.
Dealing with the problems and getting it back online. And it's a total disruption of the workforce, which then impacts the service. And it's horrible.
So we're gonna run both services if we stay.
The county owns this land.
Yeah.
Is there other properties that the county owns that would make sense?
We're gonna start
That's
a
what we're
search.
looking at, yeah.
We'll definitely be dry wherever we go.
When you say triple net, there's no property taxes, do there?
No, but I mean, we're responsible for everything. We pay the insurance, we pay the upkeep, we pay now the rent.
Okay, motion to enter into this lease agreement, Robert, second. Luella, all in favor? Aye. Okay, then we have one other one that came in, I don't want to forget that. We have a resolution, 2A endorsing, is it?
Or age. That's later.
Oh, it's later, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, you know what it is, the colors are close and I can't see colors sometimes. Resolution 4H, okay, Syracuse Board of Education contract. Sarah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are looking to enter into or commence our contract with Syracuse City School Districts. This is for the school bus tripper service that we provide for them. This is a 3-year contract with a single 2-year option. The contract we would like to retro back to August 1st of this year. After negotiations, we settled on the starting rate of $128.76, and that will follow with $133.91 and $139.27 respectively. And the following 2 years subsequent to that will increase no more than 4%. Service is the same service we've been providing over the years. No changes to that.
I'll be abstaining from this.
Yeah, we have a great partnership with BOE, and we have for years. And for those of you that didn't see, there was an incident, Tuesday with one of the, students that ride the bus. Police ended up getting involved. There was a couple of fights going on, with the kids that got off the bus. But to show you how good the partnership is, and Tony will appreciate this, that afternoon, the assistant principal or principal of all of the high schools dropped whatever they do when they were sitting in this room. Made a video up on the screen showing them, they're identifying all the kids that were involved. And I was, blown away that the principals were sitting there like, yep, this kid, that's that kid, they knew all the kids' names. They identified them all so they could obviously, talk to them, suspend them, do whatever they do on their end. But I was very impressed by that.
This is, pretty good. And, I need a motion to move into the service contract with the Syracuse City School District. Tina, second, Llewellyn, all in favor?
Yes.
And we'll have one abstention. Okay.
Yeah, you could end up driving.
Tony's gonna abstain. Okay. Linda,
That concludes the report.
that concludes our, meeting, thank you. Take 5. All right, so, before we'll start today with our normal, pledge of allegiance. I'm gonna ask John to lead us in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a quorum present. Next meeting date is October 28th. We're gonna have our pension at 9, audit and finance at 9:30. Motion to approve, governance, okay, we have a governance in there too. We'll make the times appropriate. We'll have a motion to approve the regular minutes of the August 22nd meeting. Monty, second, Luella, all in favor? Aye. Okay. We have some good news today here. We have a employee that we're gonna be recognizing. And, this is the best part of my job up there. John Boylan has served the Syracuse community for 37 years. He started his career at Central as a summer helper in June '85. Just graduated high school back then. But then I, got really, now I feel about 95 years old. 1 year later, John became a service cleaner. Throughout his hard work and dedication, John became a first-class mechanic. In '01, John created the driver training air board, showing how all air components work on our buses. It's great, it's amazing. John also created the operator training program and mechanic training program still in use today to train our operators and mechanics. Visionary, you got a visionary there, it's great. Also in '09, John was promoted to a management position. John is retiring as Central's Director of Fleet Technology and Maintenance Systems. Through the years, John won 7 first-place bus rodeo trophies. It's great because I was in it once and we were supposed to stop at the end and I drove right through.
Another comment.
And actually Brian beat me. Happily following in the footsteps of his father, a 5-time rodeo champ, Otto Boylan. Otto was a 42-year Central employee and is doing great at his young age of 84 years old. John helped install and implement the Cleaver devices in all our buses. He is very proud of this achievement. I can remember talking about these Cleaver devices because at one point it was a big discussion at this board. And I had to figure out, I wanted to see what this was. John was instrumental in submitting grants for the workforce development money through the Workforce Development Institute over the years. We have received $500,000 in grants to train our mechanics. As you know, that's great. It's another source of revenue, and it always helps to alleviate pressure on the general fund. So join me in congratulating John on his retirement effective October 22 on his 37 years of dedication. John, on behalf of the board and all the Central employees, we have an award for you here. It's John Boylan Central years of service and a wonderful, healthy retirement.
John, you look way too young to retire. All the jobs in the school district. I'm just saying. If you don't want to just sit down, we got things you can do.
Did you just come out of retirement for like the second time?
Hey, wait.
Ask that question, what is retirement?
Misery like company.
I gotta do it, you gotta do it.
John's gonna share a few words with us.
I'll do my best. You guys probably can imagine what I've seen in 36 years in this place. A lot of big changes. The best part about working here was the opportunities that I had. I worked hard to get there, but I couldn't have done it without my superiors letting me do these things. I had a free license. I had free reign. I just kind of created my own position over the years, and also technology helped with that. And I paid attention to technology, so being a mechanic and having the skill of technology brought me a long way. Some people before me, Jeff Keller, great mentor, I followed in his footsteps. He recently retired. Jim Mann, he always had my back. Jeff, thank you for everything, and everyone else in the room, thank you.
John, during your retirement, stay busy.
You got openings at the school district. I'll go with you. I mean, I'm looking too. You know?
I'm gonna work. You're right, I'm too young to retire, and I'm gonna work, so. Thank you very much.
Another round for John. John, you're welcome to stay, or you can carry on whatever you like to do, but, thanks for everything, you really did a great job.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it, everyone.
Hey, John. John. Sure will. Okay.
He was our driver a lot.
Yeah. My dad was here 42 years.
I love your dad.
Thank you very much.
The last 12 months, we got some long-term employees that have decided to move on. It's tough replacing some of those, I think, passion. People have passion. That's something that you can't. It's something either you have it or you don't.
Right.
You know. Well, God bless them. Okay. Moving on to the agenda here. We're gonna go into Brian's report and our senior staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As outlined in my report, we fully expended our CARES Act and CRISA funds. We're now starting in the ARP funds. We spent about 3.3 million out of the 38.5 that's available. Linda and her team continue to draw down on that, as needed. As of the writing of this report, we had 2 employees out for COVID, and that fluctuates, and I think we went up to 3 and then we went down to 1. But still, leaps and bounds better than where we were, a year and a half ago. With regards to that, so that's great. At various meetings, we didn't have a lot of legislative meetings, but I just listed here some of the stuff that we're working on with the staff. We did our 50th anniversary kickoff. We're working with Noya County Rural Transportation on doing, taking over the service that Bernie Bus used to run. We have capital planning meetings, recruiting. Jackie's going to talk about that. We had a couple, 4 different recruiting events. Our bike share, you guys approved. The RPM program continues to go strong. Working on lease contracts and revenue contracts. We've had meetings on doing on-site medical, workers' comp, storeroom procedures. We meet regularly with the SMTC, which is the Syracuse Metropolitan Transportation Council. Chris is going to talk a little bit about our involvement in the fair. As Tara mentioned, the Syracuse City School District contract, we continue to talk with Amazon about service to their facility out on Morgan Road. NIPTA, we meet regularly, and we're meeting even more frequently now. We're putting together our operational asks and our capital plan asks that we're going to be presenting to the state legislature after the first of the year. And we have the upcoming NIPTA annual conference at the end of this month. I'm sorry, the end of October. It's several staff will be attending that in Albany. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Bob?
Can you refresh my memory? Years ago, I remember talking about the Oneida County service that Bernie Bus had. What?
So Bernie operated rural transit service, so it's not like our fixed line, where we run around the city of Rome and the city of Utica. This is out in the I guess you can call it the suburbs. It's not even really suburbs. So we're looking to them, well, they look to us because Bernie went to them and said, we're no longer gonna do this. So we went down, looked at their fleet, we didn't want any of their fleet. But we did tell them that we would operate whatever service could be funded. You know, I didn't wanna get into a situation where we picked up everything that Bernie was doing, that maybe cost us $1 million a year run, we find out there's 300,000 in funding. So we told them that whatever funding was there, we would put enough service on the road to cover that. So what we really come up with is it's gonna be a track that's running from, Rome, it's covering Rome, Utica, the Turning Stone. So it's just making a loop, you know, well, it's a straight line, but, just going back and forth. And then if more funding becomes available, we told them to add more, or we either add more service along that line, or we'd add more lines. But that's where we are right now. We're hoping in the next few months we get that up and running.
Would you be getting the funds from the federal government or?
A lot of that is state.
These are state funds. Yeah.
They're no longer doing the coach line, any of that, any transportation?
They, go ahead.
Who, I don't know, but Bernie?
No.
Yeah.
They have the 14C bus is what they call it, but it runs down the thruway. Depending on where you pick it up and where you're going, it's the bingo bus.
They got bought out.
It's, yeah, when Bernie sold, they sold to a company in Philadelphia. So of course they're looking to maximize their profits on it. So they're cutting some of the service that's just not profitable to them. I think this is where some of it was. There was a lot of service.
The same way we did, really.
I mean, there was a lot of service they stopped running.
Yeah.
You know, United County, and it was part of them coming to us was, you know, there's a schedule online, but you go wait at the bus stop, the bus doesn't come. Or it's 2 hours later than what it says. When it comes, it comes. So ridership was very minimal. It wasn't properly executed. So they're looking to us. It's going to, their contract is going to the legislator in United County next month for approval for us to take it over and then transfer the funds to us to run that service. But, so Bernie Bus is still operating, but they're not operating in that sense. It's more of coach bus service down the thruway, you know, for various needs.
But they're big green over the road coaches they run, but.
That's it. Got it, thank you.
You said they are transferring the fund from their contract to you?
Well,
We wanted the funds.
So we would end up getting the funds. So currently the funds are under contract with DOT, with Oneida County and New York State DOT. So the county legislator has to approve a motion to end the contract with Bernie, enter an agreement with us to transfer the funds, so then DOT would then recontract the funds to Centro. And EJ, if I'm wrong in this process, let me know. So then the funds would be coming to us, because there's some STOA funds, 5311 funds. There's some CARES money that's out there that they've been awarded for this service that they've been sitting on for 2 years because the service has been suspended since COVID.
Just for this
minimum
service.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't let them managing the funds.
So did you find out,
Costs.
so did you find out this is not enough money, you'd be requiring requesting other funds?
Well, if we get to that point, right now, the service is gonna operate in the existing funds that they're receiving. So I think they're getting, you know, $500,000 in service funds, so we're putting $500,000 worth of service on the street. And that's what Brian was talking about. So we're running 6 trips a day that would run from Utica to Rome, Rome to the casino, and then casino back to Rome, Rome to Utica. So it'll make that leg, you know, once things get finalized, we'll work with businesses along that route to hopefully generate ridership and putting things out there. This is also gonna connect Mohawk Valley Community Connect with our hub in Rome. And some other things along the way, so.
And there's some manufacturing employers along that corridor as well, who will be serving.
So,
Not that we don't wanna put service out, I just don't wanna put service out that isn't paid for.
so,
Just curious, how long does that run? How long does that move?
the round
Couple
trip,
hours? Yeah.
it's 2 hours,
Yeah.
somewhere around 2 hours, I think
Almost
is one.
almost an hour one way.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. Chris?
So I can honestly say since our last meeting, a lot of our time and company time was geared towards the New York State Fair. So I'm gonna piggyback with Joe DeGray's absence of taking his report and talking about the New York State Fair. As we know, this occupies a lot of our time, it occupies a lot of the department's time. as we continue to grow and our services is something that, started out as an opportunity and convenience for individuals is now a reliable source for state fair. When parking and traffic is increased, that they reroute people to our park and rides. So coming off last year, the first year from the pandemic after the fair was canceled in 2020, we only saw an 11% increase in attendance to the New York State Fair. So actually people attending the fair, but and that's even with an 18-day going back down to 13 days. So we're seeing things open back up. We saw that throughout the events through the summer, Taste of Syracuse, the car show. But our ridership, however, doubled from what we did in 2021 compared to 2022. So in the report, you see 137,000 rides versus 283,000 rides that we did. It's still significantly lower. We typically do about 550,000 rides pre-pandemic, but we're seeing an increase in ridership, and hopefully, as future years come on, you'll see attendance bounce back and our ridership increase, and hopefully our manpower would increase in that. So we did this, of course, with limited operators and staff to provide the service, and we relied heavily, Jeff, several other salaried staff employees to drive, myself out there driving as well. But it's also a huge lift for the maintenance and operations department. So we want to thank everybody that contributed to do this. It's heavily on maintenance and operators, but they step up. They usually come together one time of need, and we're at wit's end of we're short staffed and people adjusting. We change schedules on the fly. We have temporary staff that we hire for the fair and they quit. So we start reaching out to departments. We take accounting staff, HR staff, service development staff to either go out there and back up buses to do counting of passengers. So to get to that 283,000, we're manually doing the math on that every day, all hours that we're out there operating service. So we want to say thank you to everybody to help provide this service, get this service on the street, continue to provide an excellent service as we continue to see things rebound from the pandemic. We had conversations this week. We already have a meeting scheduled to do a debrief on 2022's fair and start planning for 2023's fair. So even though we're a few short weeks from the end of the fair, we're already talking 23. So we'll keep the board up to date on how things go with there if there's anything drastic to change. So again, thank you for all that. And a second note, as we talk about John Boylan's 36 years, I was nominated to be the Mass Transit 40 under 40 in the country as a nominated employee of Centra. So I just want to make the board aware of that, and that's a testament, even though it's an individual award, of the staff we have here. Without the folks behind you, the folks behind the scenes, even though I was nominated and received the award, everybody here contributes to make that possible. So I thank everybody for that as well.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, great job.
I'm kind of glad to see you doing that because bringing the drivers and the staff closer.
Yeah. So, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Jackie.
Good morning, everyone. So just a little bit of an update on our recruiting efforts that we've done over this past month. We participated in 2 hiring events over the past month. One, of course, was at the New York State Fair, where we had a booth available for 13 days in the Science and Technology building. We were somewhat successful. At least we got our name out. We got, a lot of people that saw us out there. We didn't get a lot of resumes, only about 5, but we were out there and we were talking to the public, and we were, corresponding with them and hearing the good things they had to say about Central and some of the things that we could improve too. So the second community event that we attended was a job fair on September 8th for Jubilee Homes, which was in the Civic Center. There were a number of local companies. Actually, there were a lot more there this time around, which was great. So there was a steady foot traffic there. From that, we received about 5 applications from that fair. Unfortunately, they were more geared towards office staff positions than operations positions. This past week, we held a recruiting event at Central. So on Saturday, we had an event from 9 to 11:30 a.m. And then this past Tuesday, we also had a recruiting event from 10 until 2 p.m. We didn't get a lot of people in the door. We got about 15 potential candidates that came through. Out of those 15, we're looking at 5 drivers and 3 cleaner servicers that we're looking to hire. So, I mean, we were successful in that attempt. We are having a class October 17th. You know, obviously our goal is 15 drivers for this class. We're up to about 6 right now. So we're still struggling. We're trying to get that message out. We're, you know, doing everything that we can in order to hire, you know, individuals to get this service out on the road. Any questions?
Most of your advertising is paid for YouTube.
Some of the advertisement we did pay for, like the
Yeah,
YouTube, the commercials on the television.
Some of the streaming services like Hulu and
Yes.
Netflix, stuff like that, so they have the commercials that you can pay money so people can't pass by them.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've been all over, you know, social media. So I don't know, you know, we're trying anything we can try.
And as I reported in the past, we're not alone.
No.
No, you're not.
I mean, how many open positions you got? 200?
No. I don't like the tone of that.
You're counting
No, I'm
the
talking about
end.
130 right now. I'm talking about 130.
Yeah, I have a lot too. I can't find it at
You can just can't. I talk to the city, I talk to the county, they can't find them.
Everybody's looking for people.
That's a lot of overtime for them.
Huh?
That's a lot of overtime for them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So,
Keep up the good work, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
we will, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yeah, apologize up front, I'm gonna bring some bad news to y'all. Alright, so recently we had a couple buses get struck with projectiles. And down off of West Onondaga Street, we had in the same vicinity, two instances. One was shot with, we think is a pellet gun or a BB, broke out windows, and in another week we had, or actually just several days later, we had somebody throw rocks. The one with the shooting, you couldn't see the suspect. It was a situation where they're either behind a house or in between a lot, so we couldn't catch the culprit. The one, no, because the cameras only has certain views.
No, not your cameras, the city cameras.
Oh, well, that's what we have investigation going on. But the other one, you see the individual pick up a rock and throw it at the bus, so you got that on camera. And then the other one was over off of South Salan Street, by Calvin. Same situation, you can see the individual pick up a rock and throw it at the bus, so we get that on camera. Kevin Perrin, the director of security, has reached out to the authorities and is sharing this information, so they're starting the investigation. That leads me into the glass and, you know, trying to repair these things. It's very challenging. We still have supply chain issues. 2 of the buses are brand new, so we really didn't have the glass in stock. Luckily, we had one of the buses out of service, so we are from Peter to St. Paul. We took the buses, so we can the glass out of those, and now we're gonna wait for more glass. And it can be quite costly. It can go up to $5,000 from those glass panels.
Reason why they mad at the driver or just?
Yeah, unfortunately, one was with the same driver on the same street over there at West Onondaga.
Back-to-back issues.
Yeah.
On the same route, within days of each other.
We have no idea.
Were there people on the bus?
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
We had an incident down at the bus. On the rocks or something.
Not really at not the hub. No. Usually it's on the street where they can hide and throw it. Or obviously shoot. And the other thing, Christoph last month had mentioned we were testing our new driver barrier. Queen City was the vendor. It was a more robust barrier. It has a frame and more flexi and protected the driver more. We gave it to the drivers to test. They came back with some pros and cons. They did like the more protection. However, where it's located, it's the plexiglass. They can see through the plexiglass through the mirror, and it's causing some glare. I did talk to one of the drivers. They said they were pulling into the hub, and once they pulled in there, it goes from light to almost dark, and it was almost impossible to see the curbside. So we've taken it out, and we're sending it back. We're gonna still continue to look for a driver barrier for the drivers, but
unfortunately, this one didn't work out as well as he wished.
I've got some of the drivers say that they like, on the new buses, the steering wheel is small, right? They think they like the larger wheels. Better, because it's for them to.
Yeah. It's an easy steer for the new buses, so it's really, you can do it just like this, where the other ones you really had to turn.
It's an adjustment to get used to, but the approach, with several of the union officials in the past, the previous board, a lot of it was saving strain on the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, you know, the hands to crank the bigger wheel. So this is, it's a beefed up power steering, I guess, if you wanna call it that. So you could literally steer the bus with a finger and lane. So we were hoping it would make it easier, reduce injuries, reduce fatigue for the employee on a, you know, a 4 or 5 hour piece of work that they're out there driving. So they're fairly new. These buses started coming in June of this year. So as we know things and getting accustomed to, you know, we have 2 different steering systems right now, but hopefully as time comes on, they get more comfortable with the steering wheels and we see a reduction on the other side from employee injuries.
Are you guys requesting, I know you can't do anything about it, but have them do exercise and stuff like that?
We do. During the driver training course, and we've done several trainings of teaching them stretches while they're at the end of the line. You know, when they get some downtime at the end of the line, or they're helped to get out of the seat, do some stretches with their back, their shoulders, their arms. You know, we ask to talk to them to get up and walk around, walk to the back of the bus, walk back up to the front of the bus. You know, so we do train them on different things and give them opportunities to learn that. We provided them with stretching bands that you get maybe at PT, but they can do some stretches with that, whether they're on the bus or at home. So we do give them some tools and resources to use with the existing equipment they have while they're on the bus. So yes, we do.
One other question here. They have designated places where they can go use the retreat and stuff like that?
There are some designated locations. There's other ones along the trip that they can use. I think in the past we've reached out, had conversations with, depending on the route and where that, you know, drivers are allowed to do it. So there are areas, yes.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Joe.
Steve?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm gonna start with giving you an update on our ridership. August is always an interesting month. There's no Board of Education service. There's no college service. We do a state fair. What I'm gonna tell you though, does not include state fair numbers, as Chris has already talked about. We're up almost double, or more than double in the state fair. But in the month of August, our ridership crested above 60%, or right above 60% overall for the first time in forever, where we were pre-pandemic. So that is good news. Core service in Syracuse was about 61%, which is good, and Utica specifically was up, was at 68% of where we were pre-pandemic. We saw increases over last year in all properties. Overall, we were up 13% from August of 2021. That's very good news. And we did it with less service on the street than we had last year. As you know, because of driver shortage, we still have not returned to our full level of service in Syracuse. We are still operating the same level of service in all other properties. So it's good, it's trending up. I expect it's probably gonna flatten out a little bit in fall. We'll see what happens. We have our college services that are back up and running. SUNY Oswego's ridership is nowhere near where it was pre-pandemic. They've changed that into a little bit more of a walking campus, made it easier for students to get around without using our services. And Syracuse University is probably in that 60 to 65% where we were pre-COVID. So that's where we are trending for ridership. Not unexpected. It's going to be a long haul to get back to where we were pre-pandemic. In part of your board package, you had our Title VI program report. We are required every 3 years to submit a program report to the FTA. It is an extensive document. It takes a lot of effort on the staff of marketing and service development. Specifically, I want to acknowledge Paul Petrone, who puts together this report for us, kind of coordinates it. It's a lot of work, a lot of mapping, a lot of data. And this is just a report that assures that we do not discriminate on the basis of race, color, or national origin, make sure that not only are bus services equally distributed to all individuals, but the location of our shelters, the quality of buses, the frequency of service is all equally distributed. It's an extensive calculation based on census data, where and how we operate our services. As I tell our staff all the time, as long as we're doing the right things for every day, this report kind of comes together easily, and there are really no issues. We anticipate any issues with the FDA. We've done this, like I said, every 3 years, and if you look through it, if there's any questions about the report specifically, I'm more than happy to answer those questions. But it's
For you, Brian, I noticed that the Destiny, we usually have a schedule of the board, and I noticed that it's no longer there. I'm increasing that, put that back up.
I will take a look at it. I know that there's live data up there.
Right, it just shows the drivers who we recruit for, but it doesn't show the schedule of the bus.
Okay, I'll take a look and see. I think we may have replaced that for recruiting purposes for the time being, but I'll see if we can get this back up. Any questions on the Title VI report? This will include a motion from the board to accept the Title VI report.
We'll cover that right in our, main, as we go through our resolutions.
And as Jackie mentioned, recruiting is a high priority. Our marketing department put together a series of employee testimonial videos that you probably saw. It was on a lot of TV stations over the past 3 to 4 weeks. We're doing everything we can to get in people interested in working here. We felt it was really important to have our own employees tell their story about why they work here, how happy they are. The individuals we selected were fantastic. Clint, Petit, Al Anderson, they were tremendous. They really told their stories very well. Casey Brown, helping us here put together, did a lot of the work on those videos. High quality, done in-house. It's just tough out there right now recruiting people. It's just very difficult.
I'd like to make a request at our next TC meeting, if you can attend that, give me some information now, display it at our next board meeting.
Yeah, I get the notices for the TNTs, so if you have one that specifically you want us at, Steve and I did the Eastwood one 2-3 months ago, but I'd be happy to do those.
And I did one virtually during COVID as well. There were some questions about service in particular areas, so yeah, I'd be more happy to do that. And with that, I will turn it over to Bren Geis, who will discuss the status of our special projects.
Good morning. So just wanted to give you some updates on some of the special projects that we're working on. The I-81 project is moving along. We attended the I-81 charrette a couple weeks ago, and that was put on by the city and DOT. For those of you who aren't familiar with charrettes, they're really cool events. They're design events that are multiple days. It's got planners and engineers and urban designers at the table, and they ask for feedback. So they get as much feedback and stakeholders in the room as possible. There's stations set up everywhere so that they can continually be working as they're having these conversations. So it's really neat to walk around these events. You almost want to go multiple days because there's different things happening and different design work going on throughout the entire, I think it was a 3-day event this year, this event. So we've been having these conversations with those consultant folks who are designing the plan, and it's neat to be involved from a transit perspective because obviously there's going to be a lot of changes happening in the downtown area. So they've asked us, hey, in a perfect world, what do you want intersections to look like for your buses. So, that's not to say that we're gonna have a perfect world, but we get input, and that's pretty awesome. So we've been having these conversations, about what the grid corridor is gonna look like, where routes might go, and how we might participate. And of course, we're talking about, participating through the construction phases, and then after the new layout of the city is complete, how we're gonna navigate around. And so that's been a really cool process.
Did anyone attend the I-81 summit at King School?
Yes, that's the one.
Oh, that's one?
Yep, that's the one. So, several of us got to go. It was just a really, really neat event. So, yeah, got to have some great conversations. In fact, we've been having conversations since then with some of those planner folks who are doing the design work. So it's been
I noticed that for changes that need to be done, but it will come around by King School.
Yep. Yeah, I think things are gonna change in the next couple of iterations, based on those meetings. And then the other topic I wanted to talk about, you guys already started the conversation about the Oneida County Rural Transit. So I'm just gonna recap what maybe wasn't discussed, because I know you had a good conversation already about it. We are working with the Herkimer Oneida County Transportation Council. Again, it's that Utica, Rome to Verona, and then back to Rome and back to Utica route for rural transit. Hawks is bringing that to their board for approval, and DOT is in the process of determining exactly how much funding we'll be getting, and will be moving over to us. In the meantime, we're working with businesses and organizations along the potential routes to really help us determine what the need is out there. We've been working with MB Edge, the Griffiths Business Park, MBCC, both campuses like Chris discussed, the Walmart Distribution Center, Marcy Correctional Facility. So just really having these conversations with a bunch of folks so that we can get the best service out there with what we can provide. And we're anticipating a start date of sometime early spring of 2023, depending on our resources. So that is going well. That's it for me.
Very good. Nice job.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, that's our last report, correct? So, what I wanna do then is go back to, circle around back to resolution 2A, endorsing the, Title IV program report that was just discussed. I move I'm sorry, check that, Title VI, put the I in front of the V instead of the I behind the V. Okay, so I need a motion. Luella, second, Tina, all in favor? Very good. Okay, Chris reported out for Joe. Audit and Finance Committee, all these was discussed in detail at committee. Motion was made to bring it to the full board to accept the financial statement. I need a motion. Okay, Julius, first, second, Robert, all in favor, aye. John Mayloff gave us a presentation on our insurance, a little bit of an uptick, but our values have also increased. With that being said, a motion to accept our property insurance renewal at around a $30,000 increase. Robert, second, Tina, all in favor, aye. Resolutions 4B, minivan and lift equipment services. Motion was made to bring it to the full board to award contract to Suburban Transportation for a 5-year term as stated on the resolution. The motion. Okay, Darlene, second, Tina, all in favor, aye. Resolution 4C, resolution authorized contract to be awarded for our waste oil boiler replacement to Encore Services. Motion was made to the full board at this point. I need a motion. Tony, second, Monty, all in favor, aye. Okay, resolution 4D, motion to approve the contract award for Apogee Automation Services Agreement. Payment will be made to Siemens for a 1-year term. Motion was made to bring it to the full board. Need a motion at this time. Luella, second. Darlene, all in favor? Aye. Resolution 4E, giving us some intelligence on what's going on in the ground. on the light poles. And, we're gonna fix those. We're gonna award contract for $61,000 to Patricia Electric for the repairs, resolution 4E. Need a motion for that? Tina, second. Monty, all in favor? Aye. EJ came back to us after 4 years on this one issue of a transit asset management plan, well put together. And a motion was made to bring it to the full board to adopt, and we'll be updating this every 4 years. Need a motion, please? Robert, second. Well, all in favor? Aye. And, you did the garage facility lease, for 3 years, for a total of $18,000. Motion was made to approve this and bring this forward. Need a motion, Darlene, second. Monty, all in favor? Aye. And, finally, motion for H to, approve Syracuse, Board of Education contract. Motion made, bring it to the full board. Need a motion? Robert, second. Tina, all in favor? We got one extension, Lindsay? Okay, motion passes. So, there'll be no other business discussed, but I do need a motion for, talk about, litigation in executive session. I need a motion to get in this executive session. Darlene, second. Tina, favor, aye. So, there is no other old business or future business, so I wanna thank all the staff for being here today. And you usually sit over there, get over here. I know you're here. Okay. All right, folks, have a good weekend. And Okay, folks, we just came out of the executive session, no action was taken. We are adjourned. Thank you.